Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle House. And in this video, we got ourselves a Grail acquisition. Another big boy book to add to the back wall. That is right. Of course, if you guys happen to know, I was at Wondercon this past weekend. I shared my comic book haul in yesterday's video. But that wasn't all the books I got. I still got one very special book to share with you guys here today. In fact, one of the books on my Christmas wish list for 2023. So I'm very, very excited to talk about this book, talk about the story behind how I was able to get it, and more importantly, talk about this idea of post-collecting clarity. But before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel doing those things, I would appreciate it. And of course, if you really want to help support the channel, you guys might consider backing my Kickstarter comic, SANITY, Rise of the Occult, a Lovecraftian pulp adventure. A lot of the tiers have sold out already, but there are still a few good books remaining. So definitely head over to the link in the description and check it out if you want to read a great comic book written by me. Anyways, let's get into this video here today. Of course, again, like I already said, I was at WonderCon and I picked up this big boy Grail book right here, a book that I've wanted in my collection for a long time. Let me set the stage a little bit of how it was kind of going. Now, yesterday I made mention of the fact that, I was at the show and I was going around and I was picking up a lot of books and there was some good stuff in there. I picked up a few keys, some deals here and there, but I did also talk about how the wall book prices were really high. At least, not everyone, not every single dealer was like that. But generally speaking, if you're looking at the majority of wall book prices, like we've had conversations many times on this channel before, sometimes dealers will set it a little bit higher because it's really more of a billboard to bring people in to, hunt through their bins and things like that. So I was looking around at one particular dealer and I happened to notice that there was a certain book on the wall, the one that I happened to pick up, and it had no price tag on it. So I said, why not take a shot in the dark right here? And I went up to the guy and I said, hey, I noticed that you have that book up there on the wall. What's the price that you have on that? And he was like, oh, let me take a look. And he went through his papers or whatever it was. He looked through and he was actually, I got it at $2,000. And I said, $2,000? That sounds like a really good deal. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, it's all relative. What book are you talking about, Swaggle House? Well, I guess at this point, I have to reveal the book that I got for myself, the #1 wish list for 2023, Tales of Suspense, number 39, first appearance of Iron Man. That is right. Now, $2,000, great deal for this book. But, it also just depends on what the grade is here. Now, he has this at a complete, probably a 1.0. But when I really looked at it, being that this has a lot of flaws with it, right? It's got a lot of problems. You guys can see right there, scribbling on the title. It says Iron Man. Some kid wrote Iron Man back in the day. Got the corner missing right here. It wraps all the way to the back side. So like the back corner is missing as well. On the inside, on the ad page, there is a corner missing up there. So there is a possibility that this book gets knocked hard with a 0.5 grade. I also think that, when I really was inspecting it, I feel like there might be some, kind of little tape residue or glue residue down here. I was looking at this corner, could be trimmed. So there's a lot of, factors, a lot of problems that could bring this down to a 0.5 grade. But being that the price was $2,000, I was like, that is still a really good deal. I am 100% doing this right now. So an impulse buy had me pick up this book. And, one of the cool things about it is that it is actually right there, as you can see, a full quotes copy. Shout out to Newbie Comics. If you guys happen to know, Newbie Comics is another YouTuber. Even though he recently acquired a Tales of Suspense 39 at a 1.8 grade, which probably means his book is higher grade than mine right here, his does not have full quotes. And basically, if you have a Tales of Suspense 39 without full quotes, I gotta say that my book is better than yours. No, I'm just kidding. In case you guys don't know, actually, this is a really funny thing. This book is notorious for having misalignment in the wrap. So oftentimes you'll see these quotes that are next to the Iron Man name, sometimes they'll get cut off because the printing will have cut it off. Additionally, well, I can't show you right here, but underneath this picture, you'll notice that there's blue underneath the table right here. Well, usually down here, sometimes there's blue underneath the corner right here, but the misaligned ones actually cut off the blue as well. So, the really choosy people who, are looking for the best copies of books will always commit or will always demand that it has a full quotes and a blue underneath the table right there. But even with all the flaws and everything going on with this particular book, I felt like the price was totally right for this. I mean, if it came back as a 1.0, I might get this CGC'd at some point, later on down this year, just to have it, kind of protected or whatever. If it came back a 1.0, I would be ecstatic because, probably fair market value for a 1.0 is probably around, $4,000 or $5,000 or so. If it came back a 0.5, that's probably still, a really good deal. I've seen a couple 0.5 sell for, $2,500, $2,200, all the way up to $3,500, depending on like the actual look of the book. I would say the $3,500 sale was probably a better presenting one than my copy right here. But all of that aside, I did want to talk a little bit about this idea of post-collect clarity. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The old post-collect clarity. Once you actually get a book in hand, once you actually add it to your collection, a book that you really want, a book that you really desired, that you thought was super hot, once you have that clarity, then you can start to have the rational thinking that you should have when you approach your comic book collecting. And this is one of the things that I think is interesting about comics. Now, this was a book that I definitely wanted in my collection. And I would have said that, let's say that this does actually become a 0.5. Like I sent it to CGC, it's 0.5. That's actually lower of a grade than I would prefer to have. But having this book in hand now for the price I was able to pay for it really does, help me feel satiated about the desire to have this book in my collection. And it makes me sort of wonder, well, I got this book at such a good deal. I have all this other money that I was sort of saving to, allocate to a book like this. But all of a sudden, now that kind of frees up like the opportunity. Now that I have this post-collect clarity, I'm starting to think, well, maybe I can take some of that other cash and apply it to some other book that I actually really want. And this is something that I've sort of felt time and time again. Let me know in the comments if you guys sort of feel this as well. But sometimes we have those books that, we know that we want. We're really, really after those books. And once you actually get them in your hand or in your collection, it kind of dispels the myth of, having the book, right? Like once you have it, you feel good about it. And maybe you get a copy that's not the most ideal version of what you wanted or what you had in mind, or maybe it's not as high of a grade as you were hoping to get. But once you have it, you're just, happy to have it. And that kind of gives you this, feeling and this understanding and this perspective on, hey, how bad did I really want this book? There's a lot of books in my collection that once I got them on my wall behind me, to me, I felt like, yeah, I'm pretty much done with it. Like take Journey into Mystery number 85, first appearance of Loki. Mine is a 3.0 copy. Once I got a 3.0, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like I really have no desire to upgrade that book. Like I'm just sort of happy to be in the club, have a copy for myself. Of course, if a 4.0 came along at a great deal or another, higher grade came along at a great deal, of course I would consider picking that one up and then selling my other one to like offset the cost and things like that. That's always on the table. But every book is different. And once you have it, it actually changes how you look at it for your ultimate collection. I always talk about my Avengers 1 book. When I got my first Avengers 1, that was like a 2.0. I knew the instant that I got it, I wanted to upgrade it. Like in my collection, I didn't feel satisfied. But by acquiring it, by having it in my collection, it took off the pressure to get it, especially at that time, which was like, 2021 when everything was going crazy. So it took off the pressure and it gave me flexibility and opportunities to evaluate how I wanted to move from there. And it also made me realize and double down on the fact that, yes, this is a book that I actually want to upgrade. This is a book that I still want to trade up. This is a book that, whatever my original target goal to acquire for it is still something that I actually really want. Whereas like, the Journey into Mystery 85, once I got it, it was like, yeah, I'm totally happy with this. I feel the same way about my giant size X-Men. It's like a 1.8 grade, but I just have it. So I have no desire to upgrade it. I mean, it'd be nice to upgrade it, but again, I have that post-collect clarity. and I can think rationally about this. And it's really helpful to operate that way and think that way about your collection. Now, of course, this does sort of imply, if you're somebody out there that does kind of upgrade your books or whatever you want to kind of trade them, it does sort of require to have the process of like knowing that, okay, if I get a version of a book that's not my ultimate grail or it's not my ultimate, grade that I want, I will have to sell it. I know a lot of you guys are just, collectors. You're not really, someone who's looking to sell or trade. So that makes a lot of sense that maybe it makes more sense for you to just pull up, whatever the budget is that you need for the book. And then when the right one comes along, you can finally pull that trigger. But for the large majority of people, I think that just getting a copy of a book, just getting it in hand, can really open up a lot of opportunities and ideas of how you want to proceed. This is kind of how I feel about this book right here. I mean, granted, I wouldn't have overspent for this. I wouldn't have, paid more than I wanted to. I mean, really, I picked it up because the deal was just too good to pass up. But now having it in hand, and as a book that maybe aesthetically is not, the book that ultimately I would want. I mean, while it isn't the ugliest copy I've ever seen, it's not going to win any beauty contests anytime soon. But when I look at it, I'm kind of content. I'm kind of happy with just having the book in hand. So it opens up a lot of other opportunities to think about, okay, well, what other, options will I have in the future? Maybe I'll upgrade this book. I mean, I probably will, but the pressure to do so is not really whatever I might have been feeling prior to the fact of me acquiring the book. So this post-collect clarity is something that I highly recommend for you guys. If you're somebody out there who has this, image in your head of like, I have to get this book at this very, very specific grade, and I'm only going to get this copy because this is the way, and it has to have this specific wrap, and I don't want the misaligned, da 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 da. You can't approach the hobby that way. And there are, certain books that I would not recommend getting. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend, just getting a book that's like coverless so that you can upgrade later. Or if there's a flaw in the book that you really can't stomach looking at, then that's a whole other thing. Like, I'm not saying to do that, but sometimes, not getting that perfect copy can help give you that perspective in what you actually want in your collection. But with all that being said, I am now in the TOS 39 Club. Once again, shout out to Newbie. Can you guys do me a favor, actually, if you're still watching this video at this point? He's like 40 subscribers away from hitting 3,000 on his YouTube. I think we need to get him there. I'm going to put the link to his YouTube in the description. Go over there, sub him up, go into one of his videos, comment, swag sent you, and tell him that my copy looks better because it has full quotes right there. Full quotes, guys. I don't care if you have a 9.6, or is 9.6 the highest on the census? I don't care if you have a 9.0 or higher. If you don't have full quotes, my copy is better than yours. I'm just kidding. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. My big pickup. Gonna put it on the wall behind me. What do you guys think about this idea of post-collect clarity? Have you guys actually ever had that experience in comic books? Let me know in the comments. Kickstarter, still going on. 8 days left. Like, comment, subscribe. See you all in the next video.